In today's special episode, I was joined by part of the team behind Perfidia, an ambitious short film that is currently competing in festivals. The crew consists of a British Kurdish producer, Jafar Mohammad, a British-Kenyan co-writer and editor, Teddy Njuguna, Portuguese writer and director, Bruna Pias, and a British producer, KC Hughes. We mostly talk about their experiences making Perfidia, a short film about male domestic abuse victims, which they made together. The discussion covered everything from its conception, production, and future plans to turn it into a television series. We also got to know the team better as they talked openly about their backgrounds, prior education, and career obstacles. For filmmakers, students, and anybody working in the creative sectors, this episode is packed with excellent tips. Additionally, they provide some useful resources that might be helpful to many people when they enter this industry. Listen to this episode to learn more about Perfidia's behind the scenes, find out how to get your short film commissioned for a TV series, and get inspired by the incredible energy of this amazing team. Enjoy! Hello everyone, thank you for joining us today and welcome to the show. We've got a special episode today with more guests than usual. So can one of you start please and introduce yourself?
I can start. Hi, my name is Bruna. I'm a Portuguese writer-director based in London. And yeah, I usually write and direct films or edit them.
Awesome. I'll go next. Hi, I'm KC. I am a producer, assistant director, and occasional team assistant. I'm London-based also. I am from Great Britain, and it's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, I'll step up. My name's Teddy. I'm a filmmaker. I write and I occasionally produce alongside KC here. I've been working as a location assistant for the last year now with Coronation Street. I am from the UK. I am based in Manchester at the minute. Yeah, my aim is I want to keep writing, I want to keep producing, I want to keep making stories alongside my great colleagues here. And thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And Jafar?
Hi there, I'm Jafar. I'm a Kurdish producer. I also, like Teddy, make films along these amazing people right here. And I was a camera trainee for Gangs of London Season 2.
And can you guys provide a bit of context? How do you know each other or why all of us is here together today?
So we all met on a project called Perfidia, which started off as a TV series, and we did a sort of writer's room with myself, Teddy, and our other writer, Liam. We ended up sort of developing this full TV series, but we didn't want the concept to, die there. So we decided to do a short film that was produced by KC and Jafar. And Perfidia, the short film, is currently waiting on some festival results. It was completed early this year. So yeah, that's kind of the last project we've done together, and we're currently developing more short films and potentially a web series.
Sounds exciting. Is short film somewhere available online?
So currently Perfidia isn't available because of festival, premiere regulations and all of that, but hopefully soon.
Yeah, fingers crossed that it will be successful. How come you met each other? Was it coincidence or did you know each other before?
When we started the Perfidia Writers Room, it did start with just me and Liam. We did start talking about it initially as a feature, but then I was just scrolling on Instagram as it goes, and one of the actors in the film by the name of Phoebe, I saw that she was in a film called Braids, which was one of Bruna's films. I kind of saw the trailer for it and I thought, wow, this actually looks sick. So the first thing I did was I hit up Bruna on Instagram and said, yo, we got a thing going on. Do you want to be a part of it? And honestly, to my complete surprise, she said yes. And it just started from there, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I said yes because I thought the story was an important story to tell with an important theme. And then when we were looking into pitching the show, Jafar and KC sort of came on board, and we started looking for places where we could go with the show and with all the materials that we had. Like many people in the industry, we got rejected by everyone. So we decided...
Not Netflix, though.
Not Netflix?
Netflix is more of a maybe. There's a question mark over it.
It wasn't a maybe. It was more like if you partner yourself with an indie company that has more of a track record, then yeah, essentially we would consider it or be greenlit, I guess.
Yeah, we kind of just need a bigger track record for ourselves. And if the short film does well, it means that we can, use it to bump up the TV show.
Yeah, sounds really cool. And would it be like a first project of yours that will be adapted by such a big streaming service or like production company, or do you have already a history of working for something big like this?
Well, I think it's sort of our first independent project per se. So we've all done short films, usually as students before. Perfidia as a short film is our first fully independent. We raised the money. We did it all ourselves. And the TV series, it's not the first writer's room I'm a part of personally, but it would be a big step up in a way of getting a screen credit for all of us, I believe.
And do you want to introduce us film a bit, if it's not secret?
Essentially, Perfidia follows the story of a young musician who gets trapped in an abusive relationship after finding out the circumstances of his girlfriend's pregnancy. We thought it was an important story to tell because at the time you didn't really see stories like that. I mean, you would see it occasionally as a cursory story on, let's say, something like Casualty or on Coronation Street, for example. But, like no films outside of made-for-TV film in the 90s, that sort of subject approached. And it kind of takes a more personal place in my life because it's actually kind of based on a previous relationship that I was in. I did what any sane filmmaker in that situation would do after going through something like that. I thought, how can I make a film about this? That was like my thought process at the time. But as Bruna mentioned before, it started off as a feature because I kind of just formatted everything on the page and ended up churning out 150 pages initially. He saw that and was like, nah. Then at that point, Liam came in and we started spitting some ideas back and forth. And then after that, I got in touch with Bruna, and then we kind of started to streamline it a little bit. And then after that, Jafar and KC, who I knew from my university days, we both went to the same uni. From that point on, it kind of just sort of went on from there.
And did you all go to Middlesex? Or what uni did you go to?
I went to Met Film School in London. Well, I did my BA in Portugal, where I'm from. And then I did my master's degree at Met Film School.
But Jafar, you went to Middlesex, right?
Yep, I went to Middlesex with Teddy. I think Casey he graduated a year earlier.
2 years.
2 years, sorry.
I didn't study film.
What did you study, Casey?
I studied biomedical science.
Interesting. How did you then get into the film?
In 2018, I joined a charity for a friend. I did a favor for a friend, and they had a filmmaker course, so I did that. And I kind of fell in love and haven't stopped making films since.
Yeah, that makes sense. That sounds good. So, enjoy that?
Yeah, 100% enjoy making films. It's not lost on me, the crazy stuff that filmmakers get to do.
Yeah. And when it comes to the short film, can I ask you what was the budget? Or roughly?
Roughly 10K.
Oh, 10K. Okay, yeah.
I'm all about transparency.
No, it's just to get some kind of context, because I remember as students and trying to make short films, it gives me like a perspective to imagine how expensive was it.
Honestly, like right now, I'm budgeting another short and it's already surpassed that. At 10K, it's like at 20K right now.
Casey, from that point on, you're only going to be dealing with a bigger man.
This is something that students quite struggle with. Can you give some advice? How did you manage to raise the money? Did you do crowdfunding or how did you get it?
Well, we did crowdfunding. So we were lucky enough to, through the crowdfunding, finding our exec producer, who also donated quite a bit of it. But I think aside from the crowdfunding, one of the things was we all abdicated our payments in order to pay our crew, because we all feel like we were willing to do this film for free for ourselves because it is our film as a team, but we know that it is important to set a standard that crew members and cast members should always get a fair salary, fair payment. So we made an effort to try and pay them. The other thing that we did was we made sure we were really nice to everybody, and we got what you would call favors in the industry. And that's sort of how you get there, is by making deals with people and getting people to come on board with a location or with kit and, finding a way to get something for free or not.
Or at least a reduced rate,
Or at least a reduced rate. So the money was mostly for our crew members and cast. And then everything else that comes with it, we really worked hard to do things by the books, but also try and get those favors in.
Mm-hmm. And can you share a bit about the, let's say, production value of the film, such as what was the size of the crew, how many actors, maybe what were the locations?
So we had 2 actors. We only had 1 location. We had a total crew of was it 28 people?
6, I believe, actually.
That's including the drivers and
Post.
And how many days was production?
the 2-day shoot. We had an extended post-production period of was it 2.5 months?
Around there. Because we weren't working on post full time. We were just doing it on weekends. So that post process was very much extended.
And then if it gets adapted into TV series, so then are you going to expand on this story and basically write it just longer for, 8 episodes, or how long?
We had a discussion about this the other day. I think initially I wanted to do 8, but then I think because we hadn't looked at it in a while, we looked back, we were talking about it, we were saying, maybe we should do 6 instead. So the aim is still to expand it long form, expand on the story of the characters, but instead of doing 8 episodes, we're going to do 6 instead. And I initially wanted to do 8 by 45. I think we want to do 6 by 30.
Is this decision up to you, or if Netflix decides to adapt it, is it up to Netflix or is it up to you?
It's definitely going to be up to whoever commissions us. But we'll be like, we can do it for this. And they'll be like, you're going to do it for this.
I think we sort of just wanted to set also a realistic standard for ourselves. So we know that 6 is easier to sell than 8. You just get to these conclusions by working in the industry. I worked in development for a while, and KC as well. So we kind of just are aware of what the industry is looking for. And the truth is, maybe 2 years ago when we were working on the TV series the first time, we were saying, let's do 8 episodes, let's do this, because that was what the industry was looking for at the moment. But now there are differences. Now second seasons aren't commissioned as frequently, so doing a mini series is probably the easiest way to get a project made. So it's just a matter of sort of adapting our goals to what the industry is asking for.
And can you tell us a bit more about the process? What is it like trying to reach out to these companies or streaming services and trying to pitch your idea? Because I can imagine that's kind of a dream of everyone. So how did you go about it? How did that happen?
We took a super indie approach.
Well, there's many ways where you could go, but usually you would be paired up with a production company and they have this concept and they will approach other companies, because it's very unlikely that they will cold read someone's script. So what we did is, Teddy and Jafar, they set up the production company in which, we ended up making the short film under and everything. And that really helped sort of go over a few hurdles. So it really helped get the other company's attention in a way. But we tried it. And the result was obviously not what we expected, or at least it wasn't, oh my God, they got a series commissioned out of the blue without any credits or anything. But we tried it. We definitely recommend, going for it, because I feel like that's how you learn how to communicate with these companies. But it's very unlikely that a company will read something from an individual rather than a full company.
They almost never.
It also helped that some of us had contacts within the industry, so we gathered a lot of emails, and we just didn't email the bigger companies. We emailed the smaller companies as well. And, we were close with some of them to get in the room, to get a conversation, but in the end, it wasn't in the cards.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Some of those companies just stopped being companies.
Exactly.
What do you mean by that? Can you elaborate?
I'll just say we had a company that was interested in reading the script and speaking to us, but in a span of 2 weeks, they closed doors. So it was a bit of like a letdown for us, but to the industry, that's how it works.
And were you basically trying to reach out to as many companies as you can and hoping, or were you actually selective and picking those that you would want to work with?
At first, we kind of focused on the big boys, to begin with. Because as we mentioned before, we know one of the companies we reached out to was Netflix, but then we reached out to loads of other, like, not only streaming platforms, but also traditional broadcasters as well. I think in that span, we reached out to not only Netflix, but Prime Video, HBO, Channel 4, BBC, all them ones there.
We approached all the UK commissioners.
I also do want to add, I think we kind of tried to look at a demographic group and kind of cater it towards said production companies or broadcast places and see which would kind of like commission it. So it became structured after that, I guess.
Another thing I should add is that we reached out to this company, but prior, there was a lot of work done. There was 1 year plus of work done on the show. So we reached out to them with a full script, and we reached out to them with a full concept or a full treatment of what the show was going to be. We would probably have done it differently now that we have more experience and we've done the short films and we're doing other stuff. But it's good to mention that it wasn't just an email saying, "Hi, I have a TV show idea. Would you like to make it?" There were materials attached to it. There was a lot of work done beforehand.
Yeah, I can imagine. Is it like presentation, preparing the pitch and everything like that, or what is it like?
I think it all we ended up having, we had like a pitch deck, character breakdown, pilot script. As Bruna was saying, like a lot of time and a lot of preparation, went into it. Like we weren't going in like just cold calling everyone. We went into this with like a full strategy and a full plan of how we were going to do it and what we were going to do, how we were going to present it to them.
Yeah, I guess cannot underestimate it, right?
They may reject us, but they can't fault the effort. Do you know what I mean?
I think we added like a mood board kind of thing with the pitch deck to give them like a visual, what we kind of want to make, how it feels.
And I guess it's always better try to provide more than not enough and then be regretting that you could have done more.
Well, you don't want to provide like an immense text because it's very likely that execs, they're always busy. So for them to take time to sit down and read something has to appeal to them. And that is why you try to make your pitch deck as visual as you can so that they open it and it's not just a blank page with text and they can follow the story and feel the story as they go through it. In a way, we knew that we had to be selective with the materials as well. So we didn't send the full season with our 30-page Word doc that we had, obviously. But we try to gather as much information to sell the feel of the show and the vision of the show that we could. Absolutely.
And I wonder, as you mentioned before, that you try to reach out to as many companies as you could. What is the ratio of the companies that actually get back to you? Do they at least say the reason why not, or they don't reply at all, or what is it like?
For the commissioners, I think all of them got back to us, right?
I mean, 80% got back to us.
Yeah. And a lot of them give feedback, and a lot of them were like, we love the concept. For instance, one commissioner was like, oh, we had something like this a few years back, so it's not really something that we're doing again right now. One's like, not, this thing wasn't for their target audience group, which subsequently I worked for their parent company and I now know what their target group is.
That's good, because I was expecting that you would say that they don't even get back to you. But it's nice if they at least say the reason why not, or at least let you know that not.
We get messages all the time from people looking for jobs and stuff like that. And I always like giving feedback whenever people send things or ask for things. Feedback is one of the most important things because it takes that pressure off of other people's minds. So if we can get feedback, I love it.
And when it comes actually to pitching to the company, who were the people that were doing that? Was it producer with director or kind of core crew, or who was there?
Well, pitching, I think with Perfidia, did we pitch one time maybe? Did we get to that stage? I'm not sure. I think we kind of just got shut down, in the email. But from someone that has done pitching, I can say that it would usually be the creators of the show. So in this case, it would most likely be Teddy, Liam and I, maybe, or maybe just Teddy. So for me, when I pitched a show, it's because it is my idea and it's my concept. It was always me by myself. but I think we talked about having Teddy do sort of the initial setup as he is the creator. And then maybe Liam and I would step in to offer on the writing on Liam's end and sort of like the visual directing side on my end.
So Teddy, as the creator, do you feel like there was a lot of pressure on you?
I wouldn't say that there is pressure, no.
Is it because you are used to it or you enjoy it or?
I enjoy being in the room. Like, I enjoy being able to talk to people about the idea. Because I feel like, that the idea we have is solid enough. We have a team that's solid enough to pull it off and to bring it together. So for me, that's never been an issue. Any pressure that comes, I'll be putting on myself. Thinking like, gotta get this right, I gotta get this spot on. When really, at the end of the day, I'm just doing the one thing that I'm good at, which is getting up in a room full of people and talking. I mean, 90% of the talking may end up being waffle, but I can talk.
If the people can see that the person who's pitching to them is passionate and engaged and knows their story, it goes a long way.
Yeah, 100%.
Long way.
Yeah, it was great advice. So talking about advice, can you guys share some advice for students or starting filmmakers? What would you recommend them that is helpful for their careers or during education or even in the film industry?
That's a tough one, actually.
I've been waiting for a question like this my entire life. Because I never went to film school. The way I learn filmmaking is by doing. And that's what I've just consistently done. I've gone to other people's sets. I've had my own sets. Make things. If you're a director, make things. If you're a writer, write things. That's literally how you're going to learn. There's stuff you'll learn in film school, granted. But literally, make things, watch things, read things. That's it. That's all you need.
And Casey, do you feel like that you will be in a better position if you studied film, or you are okay with the way it is and you are in a good position now?
So when I go to networking events, I interrogate my filmmaking colleagues. And one of the things that I've learned over the years is there are two major things you learn in film schools: how to tell a story and basically connections. Those two things you get, I should say. And over the years of me working on other people's sets, I've started to build connections and learned how to make a thing. Like, I wouldn't be able to say I could sit here and write a story because I'm not a writer, but I feel like I don't necessarily need to go to film school. What I do need is a bunch of mentors that I've had since starting in this industry, and they've helped me hone the skills and craft that I have.
If I could add as well, everyone has their own journey. It's something that has been said to me since I started working in the industry, or since I started sort of dreaming of working in the industry when I was a young person. I think it's not a case of, oh, because you went to film school, you have more, or because you didn't go to film school, you are more valid. There's none of that. Every person has a different journey. It's very difficult to set a pattern. It's not like, you want to be an engineer. You go to university, you get your master's degree, and you do the exam to be on the engineering, whatever it is. And then you become an engineer and you start working in your field and you go up the ladder. In our case, it's very much whatever happens, happens. And you just have to, as Casey said, keep making. And if you want to be a writer, you write. And if you want to be a director, you grab your phone. And it's not as easy as people make it seem. It's not just go and do. There should be a process before. And being creator all the time is so difficult. So I definitely understand that not everyone can just go and do stuff. But if that is your dream, then grab your phone, grab your friends, and, experiment and go for it. And if I might be a downer, just expect a lot of rejection, expect a lot of heartbreak. It is not easy to be in this industry. We just came from a terrible 2-week span of rejections as a team, and it was very difficult on all of us. But, the way you pick yourself up is you find a new thing to do, whether that is a new script to write, a new project to sink your teeth into. But that's how you overcome it, by making more and having more. So, yeah, that's my piece of advice.
I think it's a great advice, and I was just going to say that I think Casey is a great example that you don't need to study film to become a filmmaker.
A great example is a great producer, and Jafar as well. And Teddy is a great writer and producer as well. So it's exciting when you find your people. That's another thing.
Yes,
Always
it's so
find-
exciting.
Find your people. I wanted to add as well quickly, on top of Bruna's point as well, is back yourself. You absolutely got to back yourself as well.
Just a quick one. If you enjoy our podcast, please give us a review on your favorite podcast app, subscribe, or share it with your friends. For more information, visit the show notes. Thank you, and back to the show.
The piece of advice that I would give to anyone who wants to get in the industry is to back yourself. 100% back yourself. I'll give you an example, in the sense that 2 years ago, I was about to give up on getting into the industry entirely. I graduated in 2019, did some odd jobs here and there, and then we got into COVID, had a lockdown. I managed to get a gig for like 6 months with an eye towards, continuing for the foreseeable. Then I got cut. They told me they weren't keeping me on, and at that point, I got depressed. I was thinking, what's the point? All that time since I graduated, I've been looking for this next job, and to the point where I was going to go become a Deliveroo driver. But then, ironically enough, the day before I was due to start, my car broke down. Literally the week I was due to start the job, and then at which point a contact reached out to me and said that we've got this thing going on ITV, but you'd have to move to Manchester. And I'll be like, yeah, sure, I'll go for it. It's mutual contact of KC and myself who told me about the job. And I was like, you know what? I got nothing else to lose. I'll go for it. And 2 interviews later, I ended up being there, and I was going to up and quit. But then I thought, you know what? I'll back myself to go for the job. Same way I backed myself to get this film together, get this incredible team together. If there's any piece of advice that I would offer, is that back yourself 100%.
So you could have ended up in a completely different career.
Yeah.
I also nearly quit and went back to Portugal because I was working for free a lot. And these companies were basically exploiting me. There's been 2 moments where I nearly quit the industry, and that was the first one. And then the second one was because I absolutely hated the job I was doing and people I was working with. And in both circumstances, it was sort of like, I'm going to quit everything. And then something just magical happens. And it happens because of all the work you've been putting and doing before that moment happens. So I would say that that's where the success comes in, is when you can say, oh, I was at my lowest, but because of all the hard work I put into it, something happened and I was able to return to it. And I think we all have kind of a similar story in that sense. And to me, it's been a few moments like that.
And what about you, Jafar?
Well, I mean, everyone said what I was kind of going to say, but I do want to add one more. I think if it's not been said already, but kind of like find your own people and make sure that they nurture you and you nurture them. Because in this industry, it's just a relationship. It's like you become friends with a AD, that AD will kind of remember you. Said things might happen, said things might not happen. It's that kind of building that relationship, building that network. I also want to add that mental health is the biggest thing that you should prioritize. If you're not feeling 100%, you should speak about it. Speak about it to your friends, speak about it to, I think they have mental health advisors and shoots now, if I'm not mistaken. Well-being people. When you start out, everyone has that same feeling. It's that I'm not good enough. I'm not supposed to be here. Why am I here? Oh crap, what am I doing?
And you'll have that throughout.
Yeah, I mean, Clans of London, I felt like that for the whole duration of it. Being told to do minimal tasks and working X amount of hours, and you kind of have that mindset, what am I doing here? Like, is this really the right industry for me kind of thing? Am I even supposed to be doing this job? Is this going to be me for like 10 years now? No, it won't. It's okay to have those kind of feelings as long as you acknowledge it and you kind of work past it.
Yeah. Can you guys share also advice how to find work after you finish studying? Because I think that is something that is very difficult and probably quite hard once it happens to actually face such situation. So how did you start looking for work after you finished your studies?
So I think I was speaking to KC about this for like a couple of years. Then he introduced me to a company called Film London. And if you don't know Film London, they're a charity. They kind of help people. I don't know a charity? I think they're a charity, KC.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. Nonetheless, they help people kind of get employed.
The Equal Access Network is what you're talking about.
Yeah, Equal Access Network, sorry. My bad. Yeah, and I guess keep in contact with your friends, most importantly, because some people will, if you're good friends with them, they'll pull you up. That's the main thing. And, search around. I did a lot of cold emails to so many companies. I think I did it with Bands of London, Pulse Films, and I ended up getting like a meeting and became a trainee.
Sounds like a great experience on the TV series.
Kind of, yeah.
If you get a credit, you can say that, or it's not true, or
It's not credited on the TV site, like when you watch the series, it's not credited. But I am credited on TV, I guess.
Well, it's very difficult to get a TV credit nowadays because of streaming. They don't show credits.
oh yeah, that's true.
I would say, like, for me, as a writer-director, if that's what, you're looking for to do in your future, just know that you can't do it straight off the bat, straight off of school or after high school. Like, it's very difficult to go straight into doing writing or directing because it is the top position. So I did go through another route in the industry. I did start with development because, I'm very passionate about screenwriting, and that was something I could explore within the industry. However, the development world is extremely toxic, and, a lot of the times they ask you to work for free, which is something that I don't agree with, and I don't agree with work experience. But that is how I started, and that is something that they don't speak about when you go to film school, of that path of things. But if you do want to be a producer, for example, development is a great place to start. You just have to make sure that you stand your ground and you don't let people walk over you, even if you have scripts or whatever. Then when I left development, I started working as an editor because I enjoy editing and it comes easy for me. So it's not necessarily what I want to be doing, but currently I do work in social media editing. I work at Warner Brothers, and it's a way to be in the industry, and it gives me time to, in my free time, work with these guys on our projects and develop my writing director career. And if there's one thing I learned is there is a way for you to have a full-time job while also working on your personal projects. Sometimes it can be very, very, very difficult if you have to pay rent and all of these things. But I will say, like, because I kept pushing outside of my full-time job and I kept working towards my goals of writing and directing, that's where I'm the happiest, and that's how I've achieved some of the things I've achieved, is because even though I'm working full-time, I'm still working part-time on everything else.
Yeah, I think it's a great example that it's still doable, that people cannot use excuses that they don't have enough time. We can see that it is possible.
Some people don't, and honestly, I've been through a phase in my life where I was doing full-time and freelance work. It was very, very hard to go back and focus on projects like Perfidia. And my mental health was not in a good place during that time because I wasn't doing anything that I loved. But I needed to do it because monetarily, I needed the money. So I will say, like, there are circumstances where actually you just can't do it. And that's totally understandable. For me, what I did is I left that situation and I made sure that I was going to do what I love to do.
Okay, so my advice for the non-writer directors out there is a skills shortage in this industry in the UK. So there are definitely jobs out there, trainee roles to do sound, location, ADing, production accountants, production managers. The jobs are out there. There are a few places to find them. Jafar earlier mentioned the Equal Access Network. Obviously, Screensaver's website, even though that I find that quite lacking. There are a few WhatsApp groups out there. There are a few Facebook groups out there for jobs. I wish I could list them off the top of my head, but I can't. Someone put together a complete list of all the different groups and services and mentorships, programs and diary services. It's somewhere out there. I'll try and find the link, and hopefully it'll end up in the links of the podcast. Another advice is find mentors, and if you're just coming out of school, go make something. The summer between you leaving and the new school year starts, borrow the kit, go shoot some things. Just to say that I've got some more experience making things.
I want to add one more. I think there are a few more agencies out there. Creative Sparkworks, that's one of them. That's one of the agencies I was with. I learned so much from them, mentorship schemes.
Media Trust.
media trust as well. And like, I think with Creative Sparkworks, they take you to Sony's headquarters, London, and you can kind of like meet the team, meet development, so much stuff. But like, most important thing as well, upskill, always upskill. I know people will say, oh, it doesn't matter, this and that. Do you know how many courses I do each year? I do a couple of VFX courses each year, and I don't really want to go into VFX as such, but it's an important skill to have. You never know when you might need it. You never know what might happen. You might change industries. You might change a different pathway.
And definitely helps you to stand out.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And can you say, are there like specific maybe website or place where you do those courses?
Screen Skills had one recently with Pearson College, and Pearson College being one of the leading VFX colleges, I guess I'll say. They had an amazing one, which was to do with Unreal Engine 5, learning the mechanics behind it, learning how to do stuff. There's so many other colleges out there. I think University Online University, I think they have short courses that you can do. You know, you can search up local colleges, local universities. They all do short courses. It doesn't have to be necessarily you take out a degree and pile up that loan. You can kind of go in there for like a couple of days or however long the courses. I did my one during the peak of COVID, I think 4 or 5 days. I had COVID at the time as well while I was studying. So it was a bit of
a great use of time, that you don't have any excuses that industry shut down and there was a COVID.
I was supposed to be working during that.
There were so many jobs we missed out on during the COVID pandemic. It's crazy. Some of the biggest things that came out.
Guy Ritchie's, for example.
Another one is Mama Youth of Sky. That's a free one, I believe.
Don't tell anybody I said this, but I think they're the best place to go because you get an entire year in industry after your training. 6 to 8 weeks training.
Why didn't I know about this when I graduated?
In terms of film schools, I think there is a lack of understanding that it's not just about set jobs, and I think that's what film schools focus the most on. One thing that I would also add is if you want to be a screenwriter specifically, write scripts, try some competitions and some festivals. There are some free ones out there, and there are mentorships out there for you, which could lead you to great things.
To mix both work and training, ITV has like a new apprenticeship scheme that's come out, ITV Academy. I know that Warner Bros. And I think Sky also have like a traineeship thing. Like there's shadowing programs for like directors, cinematographers. And I know Warner Bros. Has got some sort of writing program. I don't remember what it is. But like all the big broadcasters have to have some sort of training thing for like new entrants. So it will be very competitive because everybody's going to go up and after them. But those things are there if you aren't aware. There is a lot out there. I would personally say there's still not enough.
That's still not even to mention the Facebook groups on there as well. You got the runners Facebook groups. I saw a locations Facebook group as well.
Yep.
I think going back to what I think it was KC, I think you mentioned it earlier. Like, there's more than one way in. It's just a matter of finding the door that allows you to get in there.
So, Teddy, do you want to elaborate on yours? Because we spoke about each and missed you.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, like, there was a point I was thinking of leaving the industry entirely before I found the current job that I'm in now, which is, funny enough, working in locations for Coronation Street. And essentially, that job has been a blessing. And I think I mentioned at the start of the podcast as well that I want to get into more the writing producing space. And what this new job has allowed me to do is sort of see both sides of it, sort of giving me sort of like a bird's eye view of it all. Not only sort of the writing side of it, because as part of locations, we got to read the scripts as well. And as well as seeing the more technical side of filmmaking. Like, that's being in this job, it's enabled me to learn so much more, build up my network, as well. It goes back to the importance of networking and getting to know people as well. Just being in that role has enabled me to learn so much more than while I was still looking.
And to add one more, for Muslims out there, there is Pillars Funds that's there for, I believe, writing and directing. They have a massive committee based in the US, based in the UK. I think with UK it's Riz Ahmed. I think with US it's Mahershala Ali.
Yeah.
We're kind of like slowly creeping up where Muslims and Asians are kind of being included in this conversation.
And not as like random terrorists number 4.
Yeah. I'm kind of getting sick of it where, oh, look, my people were terrorists. Oh, okay. It's kind of like it needs to change.
Negative generalizations.
I'm just going to add, if you are currently in film school, keep making stuff on your weekends. That's a very privileged place to be, to just be studying what you love. So on weekends with your friends, you have a full class. Just go out with them and make stuff, and go on websites like Film Freeway, find free film festivals to enter and get your stuff out there and get yourself a name. And also get yourself involved in as many projects as you can. If there's a specific area of the industry that you like to work on, then tell all your director friends, hey, I want to script supervise your film. And they will be very, very thankful that you're offering to do something that maybe not everyone wants to do. So just go out and put yourself out there, which is something I wish I had done. I wish I had done more while I was at film school. So
I have to say that I feel the same. And I think what you said is great advice, because you can take advantage of the equipment that you've got, software, people, and the passion to make films. So you should definitely do that, and I should have done that more as well. So good advice.
And if you ever have an opportunity that comes up to make something, take it with both hands. Because not only is like you're adding more experience, you're also proving to yourself that you can do it, that you are capable as well. So if you ever have an opportunity to make something, like take it, grab it, and put it out there. Show it to as many people as you can as well. I made a short called Interior Madness. Well, it's stylized as INT Madness. The title itself is kind of a double entendre. This was during COVID, and I was just sat in my house bored one day, saw my camera, and I was like, you know, I could do something with this. One shot turned to another shot, and then it kind of just turned into something else. And in doing that, I proved to myself that I could do it. Not only that I'm capable of doing it, but also it's showing everyone else that I'm capable of making something like that. I mean, it was on a 1300D, but it's still something.
Mm-hmm. And I was curious, I wanted to ask before, why is the short film called what it is called?
Interior Madness or Perfidia?
Both. I was about to ask about Perfidia, but Interior Madness.
The title itself is a double entendre, because in screenwriting, you know, you have the scene heading at the top, which starts with INC or EXT, interior, exterior. So interior, yeah, and then madness. So like it's the interior of madness inside your head of writing, you know, as well as the interior of madness of being stuck in a room. You know, bearing in mind, I made that during COVID. So it's kind of like a double meaning behind it. And not only that, it was also a film sort of about writer's block.
It's like from Christopher Nolan. And what about the other one?
Yeah, Perfidia, on the other hand, it wasn't my idea. Funnily enough, it was actually Liam who came up with that title. It's from the Spanish word perfidy, which in itself means treachery or betrayal, or something along those lines.
Well, the Spanish word is perfidia, and the English translation is perfidy. Both mean betrayal, which is kind of what the film's about. There's some sense of betrayal.
There's a sense of betrayal involved in there as well, and it's also the name of a song from the 70s, which sort of ended up being sort of like the theme song of it. Like, KC, I know what that look means. Yeah, I know. He said, you know, I heard that song the other day, and he was saying that, you know, it kind of reminded me of one of the characters a little bit. And it kind of just ran with it, ultimately.
And I will say, on the topic of just go and make stuff like what Teddy just did with Interior Madness, KC and I and my DOP, we did a short film for the platform TikTok, and it's currently at over 1 million views. And it was literally a 2-hour shoot with our friends and a camera. So you just never know what could come out of just a spontaneous thing that you do with your friends on an afternoon.
How long was it, the one on TikTok?
Around 3 minutes. It ended up being shortlisted for the TikTok short film competition. We didn't win, but that's all right. All of the comments are incredible, and it was great to have a sort of audience reaction like that to something that we've done. And yeah, like I said, it was 2-3 hour shoot maybe.
Because I don't use TikTok, so I don't even know that there are like competitions like this. But I can imagine it can really help because of TikTok's algorithm that you may get a lot of views.
It's a great platform for artists, I think, because it's a lot easier to get yourself out there than in other social media platforms. And it's a great thing. TikTok does do initiatives like that. But also there are many filmmakers on TikTok making films. And I was making films beforehand, and then I did this one, which ultimately blew up and went viral. So yeah, you just never know.
Yeah. Are you actually still polishing the film, maybe editing or something? Or is it completely done and it's just going to festivals?
Perfidia.
Yes.
Yes, Perfidia's wrapped, completely wrapped. We finished it. We are just sort of now getting ready. Some final things like an online screener for our backers from our crowdfunder, for example. Just like those final things that we now can take our time to do. But in terms of post-production and everything else, it's all done, it's packaged. So we're just waiting. We're sitting, well, we're not sitting. We're doing other projects, but we're waiting on what Perfidia will do next.
So with film being finished now, what are some things that you wish you could have done differently or maybe better, if there are such things?
Well, for me as a director, as the director of the film, I'm really proud of what we done for one reason, which is we didn't have any money and we barely had any resources. So what we've done, I'm really proud of. I do wish, we try to be very inclusive with our crew and cast. I wish we could have pushed a bit more if it wasn't for time and money to sort of get more people involved from different backgrounds, especially disabled people or people from lower income backgrounds, for example.
Would you like to give them the data?
The data, we did manage to have a 60% female crew across all production, and we had 40% non-white filmmakers working on it. We always strive to improve this, essentially. And we want to make more and we want to bring more people. In terms of the film itself, given the money and resources, I'm really proud of it. There's not anything, maybe specific things that, would spoil it and I would have to go into detail and nobody else notices but me. I'm the only person who will notice minor flaws.
That picture on the right wasn't right.
Exactly, stuff like that. But other than that,
Perfectionist.
I'm really proud of it and I'm really happy with everything.
I think for me, it's just literally like there were two things that we fixed in post.
The well-known phrase, we'll fix in it post.
I've heard that so many times.
I had to.
Sometimes it is what it is. You know what I mean?
But here's the truth. 98% of what we shot for Perfidia, we prepped and planned for. And it was exactly as we wanted it to be.
I guess it was great pre-production then, great planning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Not only that, we've just had an amazing director, Bruna, for instance. We had an amazing TOP. We had an amazing team. Honestly, we wouldn't have been able to do what we did without that team, without that kind of like finance. It was a short shoot, I think 2 days, 3 days max. And, with that amount of fruit, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, it sounds that you planned it really well, so...
I will say, like what Jafar said, when your crew becomes your family, then you know that it's going to turn out well. And I think we had such a lovely environment on set. It wasn't like stressful. No one was pulling hairs. Oh my God, we have to go. But at the end of the 2-day shoot, we were all sad about leaving. And that's when you know you're going to have a great film because everyone's so invested in it as much as we were as the main team.
But I guess we'll work together or something again. I mean, we'll probably work on the TV series again. So before we finish, do you guys want to promote yourself, where people can follow you or your work?
If you want to follow me, I'm at FilmBruna on Instagram and TikTok. And yeah, I'll post some fun stuff here and there.
Yeah, if you guys want to follow me, I'm T3DR Njuguna. That's NJUGUNA on Instagram. I do post some of my stuff on there, and I do post the occasional rant about football, about movies every now and there as well. So if that's something that'll entertain you, then drop me a follow and, come say hi.
Or follow, 32 Official on Instagram.
Follow the official 32 Productions Insta as well. That's at 32 Official.
I will make sure to add it to show notes. And KC and Jafar, what about you? Do you want people to follow you as well?
I'm a producer, so I lurk in the shadows.
Maybe someone wants to become a producer, so you never know.
Message the 32 Instagram or Twitter, and I will get back to you.
I don't really mess around with social media as much. But I guess if people do want to get in contact with me, I'm on Instagram, Neutral for Life. That is my handle, I guess.
Or you could email us.
That'd also be better, to be fair.
info@32 Productions.
Yeah, our guys, get in touch, get the links and edit everything to show notes so that people can follow it. And once the film is out or once it's available, please share it with me. I will also try to promote it if I can, like on website or something, and show notes as well. Thank you so much, guys, for being here, and it was a pleasure to talk to you all.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I wanted to add one more thing. I do want to say, don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's the most important rule. Because if you don't make mistakes, you'll never learn, you'll never grind, you'll never, feel that accomplishment, I guess.
And if someone disrespects you in this industry, it is not your fault, it is theirs. If you make a mistake, it is human, and there's no excuse for you to be yelled at or treated less than. So just know that it is not your fault.
Next time I'll tell you when Gaffer started yelling at me for a thing.
And also, follow Bruna, she's amazing.
I second that point. Follow Bruna, she's great.
Guys, I really thank you. I enjoyed it. It was a pleasure to meet you all. And fingers crossed with your short film.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So I think we can finish it for today. And thank you, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Produced By. Subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app, leave a review, or send us your feedback. For more information about the host, links from the episode, and ways to connect with us, visit the show notes. If you know someone who would be an ideal guest for our podcast, please get in touch. Thank you, and see you soon.